Helen Hayes, star of stage and screen, offered this reflection on her life. When I was a child, I wanted to be a dancer. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be a movie star. When I was young, I wanted to be rich. When I was older, I wanted to be famous. Now that I'm approaching the end of my life, I want only one thing. I want to be a saint. Today's Feast of All Saints has a twofold message. First, we honor all the saints in Christian history. The big saints get their own feast day, like St. Francis, St. Patrick, St. Joseph. Today we emphasize the little saints, the ordinary faithful Christians, whose heroic virtues are known to God alone. They were heroic in ordinary things, perhaps like your gentle grandmother, or the patient nun who put up with you in the second grade, or the kind old man who lived down the street. Today's feast is about the best of us and the rest of us. The second aspect of today's feast is that the saints are models of Christian living. We are to imitate their extraordinary holiness in ordinary things. On All Saints' Day, we are all called to be saints. It is easy to dismiss that challenge as empty piety. Chesterton said that the most embarrassing word in our vocabulary is saint. It is embarrassing because we all know what we should be, but are not. What we are called to be, but have not become. We often deal with this challenge by denial. We say things like, I'm no saint, but I don't tell lies. I'm no saint, but I don't cheat. Notice that word, but. I'm no saint, but I don't steal. What we are really saying is that we want to be a saint. We know that we are called to holiness, and we really want to be good. A dramatic example of the call to holiness is portrayed in Graham Greene's novel, The Power and the Glory. In the story, a priest is sentenced to death by the rebel Mexican government. The priest, described by Graham as a whiskey priest, had been less than faithful to his calling. He had many occasions to be heroic in important matters, in small matters, but he always took the easy way out. As he waits in prison for the executioners to come, here are his final thoughts. Such a disappointment to go to God empty-handed. It would have been easy to be a saint. It would have required just a little self-restraint, a little courage. I feel like someone who has missed happiness by seconds at an appointed place, like missing a train. I know now at the end that there is only one thing that matters, to be a saint. Few of us dream of becoming a Saint Francis, a Saint Paul, a Saint Teresa. Such famous saints were truly otherworldly. Yet, consider the words of Saint Francis. Saints were sinners who kept on trying. It is encouraging to know that most of the canonized saints led lives very similar to our own. Most saints were not bishops or missionaries or cloistered nuns. Saint Conrad was a doorman. Saint John Labouré was a hobo. Saint Zita was a cook. Saint Peter Toussaint was a barber. Saint Isidore was a farmer. Saint Pierre Frassati was a soccer player. Saint Lucy was a maid. Saint Ignatius was a soldier. Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton was a convert, a mother, a widow, a teacher, a nun. These saints lived the Beatitudes in lives very similar to our own. If we sinners persist in our effort to live the Beatitudes, we might yet achieve that one single wish of Helen Hayes, to be a saint.